everyone. This is Jacqui Cooper with JCooperTravels talk show, and I want to welcome everyone back to this episode. I have a really special guest on that I've spoken with before. Today, we're going to be talking all about travel and all about food and all about how do we enjoy, various cultures and how that helps us stay healthy. And I'm really excited about that since I just came back from a short trip to Portugal with my daughter. So we'll be talking about that as well. For those that might not be familiar with JCooperTravels, I want to welcome you and also just share a little bit about my background. I came into doing the talk show from a travel perspective, but then COVID kind of happened. So I realized really we travel in life in a variety of ways, and it's all about our path and how we are supporting each other. And so that's why I'm sharing stories of individuals that I've been meeting around the world. And I think it's really special to hear everyone's story because it kind of inspires us to think beyond our own little home and think about how can we reach out and help another person. My background is a special educator, but also a travel consultant as well as an attorney. And my personal path has really been about following my passion, so I might feel like I'm doing a lot, but it really feels like play, and I enjoy each part of it during my day. And that's been primarily one of the things that I've been looking at. How can I help others find that joy in their life as well? So I know that Corinna has inspired and helped others as well. So welcome today. How are you doing today?
Hi, Jackie. It's so good to be with you again. It's a lovely day here in Colorado. Fall is setting in and we have our gorgeous golds and reds and coppers and oh my gosh, such an inspiring time of year. And this is usually actually when I get a lot of recipes running through my head and trying to sync with the weather, So yeah, thanks for having me again.
Sure. So for those that might not know, I did an earlier episode. Everyone needs to kind of go back up in the feed and find that episode. But why don't you explain to everyone what you're currently doing and go ahead and share your website so people can reach out to you, because I know that you're all about balance and energy and, finding your center both in so many different ways. So I'm going to let you explain it a little bit more.
Thank you. Sure. So I was born and raised in Greece, and half of my family, or I should say part of my family is in Greece, part of my family is in France. They're kind of like spread out all over Europe, so to speak. But this has been my main influence is the Mediterranean culture and a very warm way of looking at life, right? So over the years and for the last, over 2 decades now, I have been working very closely with understanding who I am, how to get through my issues and my blockages in life, and what would help me. And, I grew up in a very metaphysical household. So energy medicine is something that is very high in my book because it helps me connect with my body, understand the communication that it's giving me, and navigate the pathway to staying healthy and joyful. And this is my passion in sharing that with the world, because I believe that my journey is my gift to the world. Whatever I have learned, I want to share with everybody so that they can have those tools and they can feel great too, because really it is all about feeling fabulous and not just surviving. It's about thriving. And that is very, very important. And in today's world, we are always running and there's so much stress. And like you said, COVID happened and people found themselves, losing their footwork, and what they knew is no longer. And now we're creating new normals. And so when we're having that centeredness, we have a better chance of actually moving through these changes in life without losing ourselves, right? And without losing our health as well. So I tend to do this through energy medicine, through lifestyle coaching, and through cooking. So cooking is a huge part of my life. I grew up around the kitchen. with my mom cooking, my grandma cooking, my dad cooks, he's really a chef too. My husband cooks, and our whole family actually cooks together and does a lot of cooking events, and we all love to be in the kitchen. So it has really become something so much more important than just food, in the sense that it is who we are. And like my husband's, he says, he says, we are here to be nourished and to nourish others. And that is so true. And food is just a part of it, right? But having been brought up in the Mediterranean culture, it is all about food. So we're always in the kitchen, we're always cooking, we're always harvesting, lots of sunshine so that you can grow your own vegetables and can use those, in everything that you cook every day. And it's a very hands-on and a very fresh way of cooking, right? We don't use canned foods as much. We don't use prepared foods as much, at least when I was growing up. And so because of that, and because of all the beautiful ingredients that we use, we have a very healthy way of living.
I know.
So
Every time I talk with you, I keep thinking I need to expand my outdoor garden. It's just like
you should, yes.
before we get onto our chat about food and everything, how would people contact you?
Yes, thank you. So my website is healthawarenesscoach.com. And within that website, you can do /cooking, because that has all about the cooking information, but it also has about energy medicine and the lifestyle coaching and everything that I can provide for people. I also have a YouTube channel, and I provide a lot of visualizations and helpful tools over that, and that's under Corinna Kromer. And you can also find me on Facebook and on Instagram and on LinkedIn. All of that is under Corinna Kromer and Inspired Health Energy Medicine.
Yeah, which is awesome. We all need to kind of think about how do we stay healthy. And I know you keep talking about food, which I love, absolutely love. So the Mediterranean, the influence that you've kind of incorporated into everything. You had mentioned France, you've mentioned Greece, you've mentioned, we were talking about Italy. What are there some common threads there? Are how, when people start thinking about their own personal health and what they have in the refrigerator, are there things that they should be thinking about incorporating? I know you have recipes and you do the coaching and consulting, but what do you recommend?
Great question. I actually also have a cookbook out, which is to bring people's attention to those key elements and what could be in your pantry that you could use every day. And I would say that everybody would probably know that olive oil is one of the first and foremost things that we use every day in cooking. We go through so much olive oil here in our house because we really use it from cooking to salads to baking to everything.
So
There's
let me ask you
Yes.
about olive oil, because I know on the shelves, there's all these different types of oil, and I can't even think of all the labels. Does it matter what kind of olive oil we use?
Yes.
And are there different olive oils for a salad versus cooking that we should also
Yes.
be thinking about?
Yes, there are. In Greece itself, there are a lot of different options in olive oil, and they range from viscosity, like how thick the oil is, to how yellow or green it is, to how it is processed. Because the best olive oil that you can get is cold processed, right? You don't add heat in order to extract the oil, and it's the first press, because they will have several presses. And so when you're cooking, obviously you don't need to have the best olive oil because the taste is not going to be as strong. But if you're making a salad where you're getting the olive oil firsthand, right, that's where you want that richness and that rich viscosity, that thick oil. So I know that here in the US, almost almost every olive oil says cold pressed. there's a lot of discrepancies, and it's really hard to tell what is what because they come in a green bottle and you can't see the color, right? Most of the time it's a green glass bottle or an amber bottle, which is important in keeping the oil fresh, but also you can't really tell until you open it. So what I prefer to do is, first of all, get oils that are from one source. So it's either from Greece or from Tunisia or from Italy, or, not a mix of oils. Because when you have a mix of oils, then you're blending the grades and you're not really getting the best product.
That
And
makes
that's
sense.
the way, yeah, that's the way I look at it. I always turn the bottle around and say, okay, where is this from? What country and what percentages and all of that. First press is always a good choice. Organic, give and take. It's not as important. We tend to go with mostly everything organic here, but because I know my sources, I know what is just as good as organic. If you can find one that has a Greek name, you're usually in a good space. You're safe, right? But there's a lot of Italian oils that are also very, very good, and Spanish olive oils that are also fabulous.
You
But that
know,
would be my first cue.
what's really funny is when I was in Portugal and my daughter and I went to this monastery that's at the top of the hill of Lisbon. And I can't remember I think it's St. George, but I can't think of the actual name. In the monastery, there were all these old olive trees. And I want to say, I could be wrong. I don't know if they were 1,000 years old. I don't know how old they
They
were.
can be, yes, they can.
I have the picture. It will probably be in my blog, but so it does have the date on it. But we were looking at it, and they were all gnarly, but they had the olives on it, and it was like, wow, I need to plant an olive tree.
Yes, I have a couple here. I always have an olive tree, even though in our climate, I don't think you'll ever get to bear olives, but it reminds me of home a little bit. It makes me feel better.
Yeah,
So, but
yeah,
you're right, because they're sacred trees. We consider
yeah,
them sacred because, 1,000 years old and still bearing fruit. That's
yeah.
phenomenal.
It is.
And olive oil, any product that you get from that have such amazing health benefits that they're really a good investment. If you're going to change anything in your diet, change that. Get away from mixed oils and man-made oils like canola oil, things like that, and try to get more into the more natural oils. And the olive oil is a great source. Something that we don't do much though is frying. So we wouldn't really use that for frying because it's very, very heavy as an oil. It'd be tasty, but it's super heavy.
So
So
I know that we can talk for hours about different parts of food, but do you find that your cookbook and your cooking gravitates more towards the French side of you, the Italian side of you, the Greek side of you? I know you're blending it, but what are your takeaways from each of these great food cultures?
yes, my main influence is definitely Mediterranean, so more Greek, Italian, Lebanese, Turkish, right? That's how I grew up mostly, but I have so much influence from France. Half of my family lives in Paris, and I grew up with those amazing culinary creations in the French cuisine. They love butter, by the way. I love butter too, but now I'm dairy free, so I had to find other sources for butter. But what they all have in common is passion for life.
Yeah.
This is big, right? You see it in all of those cultures, the Mediterranean cultures, and it's about food. It's about sitting down with family. It's about having a glass of wine. It's about good times, right? In really about taking the time to have joyful moments in your life. We forget how to do that, and that's a huge part of our wellness, right? It lowers your stress levels, it
Yeah.
lowers your cholesterol, you feel lighter, you have a good laugh, everything is better. There's nothing like it. So passion for life, no matter which, culinary experience you choose, is one of the things that will guide you. And for me, getting in the kitchen most of the time is not just about cooking a meal. It's like, what can I create? What can I
Yeah.
play with? I'm not afraid to mess up. I'll try to make some pasta from scratch like the Italians do, right? And Sometimes it looks great and sometimes it's a little mangled, and that's okay. It's tasty, you know, but I'm not afraid to try. And I think this is what cooking is all about. Get in the kitchen and play. My goodness, you know?
It reminds me of the Eat, Pray, Love, where,
Yes,
you cook with love, and it will, it doesn't always matter what it looks like, but you feel the energy of it.
absolutely. I'm a firm believer of that, you know, if you're having a bad day, try not to cook maybe. But no, it's yeah, your energy does get infused in whatever it is that you're preparing. It's infused in your relationship with everybody around you and everything you do. So food is no different. Absolutely. You're
Do
right.
you have a favorite recipe that is your backup go-to when you are trying to kind of get rebalanced?
Salads. Salads are my thing. I love fresh foods. Salads make me feel lighter and, you know, they fill me up momentarily, but they don't make me feel heavy.
Yeah.
And I create a bazillion salads with everything you can imagine. I literally open the fridge and say, okay, what's in here? So it could have greens, but it could have chickpeas, it could have olives, it could have anchovies, it could have, you know, protein is something that I don't put in my salad, but you can always put that on top. I know that's kind of a big thing in the US mostly. But yeah, I get creative with salads. I love the freshness of
Mhm.
something that I've picked right off the garden. We have some huge cabbages right now growing out there. And some, my gosh, I picked a cucumber the other day that was 27 inches long. I had to measure it because I couldn't believe it. I forgot it, you know, it was hiding under the